Hello, my name is Alan Coronel, and I'm here to talk to you about Charlie Parker and how he influenced a whole generation of saxophone players and why he is still revered today as one of the most influential and most iconic jazz musicians of all time. Now, Charlie Parker is significant because not only did he influence saxophone players for all time, he created an entire new subgenre of jazz, bebop. At the time of bebop's comeuppance, the jazz genre of the time was big band jazz. What came after Dixieland jazz. Now, big band jazz was comprised of a big band. It included 5 saxophones, 5 trumpets, 5 trombones, and a multitude of different percussive instruments. Now, the difference between that and jazz bebop setting is that in a jazz combo setting, there are 5 musicians, and a jazz combo is typically what would be used in bebop. Now, in the 1930s, big band was all the rage. However, for Charlie Parker to get all of his creative juices out, he would need to go into nightclubs regularly, and this is where he would be able to play with all of his potential. Because Charlie Parker's technique was unmatched at the time. Nobody could play the way Charlie Parker played. However, the big band scene didn't give him the arena in which to show his skills. You see, bebop was more improvisation centered, whereas the big band, it was more of a dancing setting. People would rent out big halls and hire big bands to fill those halls with music. However, Charlie Parker played in nightclubs where he was playing not for his audience, but for himself. Charlie Parker's influence on bebop and his creation of it created a snowball effect in jazz music. After bebop came cool jazz, after cool jazz came hard bop, after hard bop came avant-garde jazz, and all the other smaller subgenres of jazz. Charlie Parker pushed other jazz musicians to compete, to come up with new ideas and try and change jazz music. The main difference of bebop and big band jazz was not the setting, it wasn't the amount of people in the band, although those were major factors. No, the biggest difference was its focal point. It was more focused on improvisation, and because of that, Charlie Parker created all kinds of songs that were much, much, much harder than anything else that anybody had played at the time. Because of Charlie Parker's superior technique, his improvisational skills were unmatched. Improvisation is when a jazz musician takes a chorus or so, or several choruses in a song, to improvise over the chord line. Now, this had been done for a very, very, very long time, before Charlie Parker. However, at the time, Charlie Parker was the only one who could do it to that extent. And because of this, he changed how saxophone players improvised. He changed how saxophone players thought they could play the saxophone. Ornette Coleman, John Coltrane, Albert Ayler, Sonny Stitt, these are all just a few of the many jazz masters that all say that they had inspiration of some kind from Charlie Parker. And to this day, dozens and dozens of Charlie Parker books and CDs are sold to up-and-coming jazz musicians. There are even books solely centered on the transpositions of his improvisations because they were so spectacular. A transcription is when they listen to his improvisations and they take down the exact notes of his improvisation. Now, yes, this was one of Charlie Parker's many influences, providing a standard, so to speak, raising the bar for up-and-coming jazz musicians. But perhaps his biggest and most consequential influence was his drug use. Charlie Parker was addicted to heroin and a heavy user of alcohol throughout his entire life, and because of this, it put heavy strains on all three of his marriages, and all three failed. Jazz musicians would see Charlie Parker shoot up in between sets of his daily nightclub performances, and because of his amazing status and his amazing ability to play the instrument, they could only attribute it to his drug use. And because of this, it started a revolution amongst jazz musicians, and because of him, jazz musicians all over the world started using the drug heroin. However, this only exemplifies how great Charlie Parker was, that people would become addicted to heroin to try and create the things and sound the same as Charlie Parker. All in all, Charlie Parker's legacy will live on so long as jazz music does.